They say a woman's beauty can catch a man's eye, but her energy is what captures his soul. Not the kind of energy that shouts for attention, but the quiet, magnetic presence that makes him wonder who she is long after she's gone. There's a secret behind that kind of power, a secret that few women use, yet it's the one that changes everything. It's not in the way she dresses, talks, or moves. It's deeper. It's in how she feels, how she carries peace in a world that feeds on chaos, how she walks with confidence without needing to prove it, how her silence speaks louder than her words. That's the kind of feminine energy that doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't demand, it influences. And once a man experiences it, he can't forget it. Tonight, I'm not here to talk about trends or tactics. I'm here to talk about essence, the timeless energy that every woman has within her, but few know how to use. The energy that doesn't just get attention, it holds it, transforms it, and turns it into something unforgettable. This is the secret to the feminine energy that obsesses a man. When we talk about authentic feminine energy, we're talking about something that can't be faked, bought, or copied. It's not a dress, not a tone of voice, not a certain walk. It's a frequency. It's how you move when nobody's watching. It's how you speak to yourself in silence. Most people mistake femininity for performance, a curated version of softness, a show put on to please or to impress. But the real thing, the kind of energy that pulls a man in on a soul level, has nothing to do with how loud you show it and everything to do with how deeply you live it. See, authenticity is rare because it requires self-acceptance. It means you've looked at yourself, the good, the flaws, the parts that aren't polished, and you decided to honor it all. Most women are taught to become something, to shape, shift depending on what's desired in the room. Smile more, talk less, be strong but not intimidating, be sexy but not too forward, be kind but not naive. That constant code switching drains your natural energy because you're always trying to meet someone else's expectations. But when you strip all that away, what's left is your truth. That's where your magnetism lives. A woman who's tapped into that truth doesn't chase attention. She embodies presence. She's not trying to convince anybody of her value. She just knows, and that knowing hits different. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. She's not performing confidence, she's rooted in it. Her confidence doesn't come from who validates her. It comes from what she's built inside herself. That's what a man feels even before she speaks. It's that grounded, calm vibration that says, I'm whole. Authentic feminine energy doesn't need to dominate to be powerful. It moves like water, soft but unstoppable. It flows around resistance instead of fighting it. It doesn't scream to be seen. It shines quietly and everything around it adjusts. When a man feels that kind of energy, he's drawn, and because it's rare, it's healing. It gives him something that the world doesn't piece. The world tells men to chase status, power, control. But when he meets a woman who's rooted in her authenticity, it reminds him of what's real. It's not about submission. It's about balance. See, a lot of women are taught to compete for a man's attention through image or effort, more makeup, more perfection, more giving. But the truth is, nothing captivates like authenticity, because when you're authentic, you're unpredictable in the best way. You're not following a script, you're responding from your essence. That's what keeps a man curious, not because you're playing games, but because you're real. You move from intuition, not insecurity. You don't try to manipulate emotion, you simply express it. And in a world where everything feels curated and filtered, that raw honesty feels like oxygen. Authenticity also creates emotional safety. When you're being real, people can feel it. Your words, your silence, your energy, it all matches. A man might not be able to explain it, but he can sense it. That's why authenticity attracts without trying. Its frequency, not strategy. When you're authentic, you're not chasing love, you're radiating it. You're not performing femininity, you are feminine energy embodied. But being authentic doesn't mean being perfect. It means owning the full spectrum of who you are, your sensitivity, your strength, your flaws, your light. It means not hiding your emotions out of fear of being too much. Real feminine energy isn't about pretending to be calm all the time. It's about feeling deeply and still being centered through it. It's knowing that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's power. It's what allows connection to be real instead of transactional. A woman who's authentic also holds space for herself. She doesn't abandon her own needs just to keep someone else comfortable. That self-respect becomes her foundation. And when a man encounters that, it challenges him to rise, because real feminine energy doesn't beg, it inspires. It doesn't demand, it invites. The more you lean into who you really are, the more magnetic you become. You start to realize that the most irresistible thing isn't the version of you that tries to be perfect. It's the version that's unapologetically human. In relationships, authenticity builds obsession, not because of ego, but because it creates connection. A man feels seen, not just desired. He senses he's in the presence of someone who's not performing a role, but living her truth. That kind of presence lingers. It doesn't fade when the looks or novelty fade. It stays because it's rooted in something timeless, truth. Real feminine energy is not a reaction, it's a state. It's a woman being so comfortable in who she is that she doesn't have to prove her worth. That's what allows her to move gracefully in a world that tries to shake her. When she walks into a room, her energy shifts the temperature, not because she's trying, but because her presence carries intention. It's power without noise, it's strength wrapped in peace. Most people don't use this kind of energy because it takes work to reach. It takes healing, self-awareness, boundaries, and courage. It takes saying no when you used to say yes out of fear. It takes sitting with yourself instead of running from your emotions. But once you access it, you realize it's the secret that was never hidden. It's just been buried under expectation. The kind of feminine energy that obsesses a man isn't about control, it's about authenticity. It's a vibration that says, I am who I am, and I honor that. It's not desperate, it's divine. It's not about changing yourself to be loved. It's about loving yourself so deeply that love naturally finds its way to you. That's the real secret, and it's one most never tap into, not because it's unreachable, but because it requires the courage to be real in a world addicted to pretending. Calm confidence is one of the most powerful forms of feminine energy, and it's the one that often leaves the deepest mark on a man's mind. It's not loud, not aggressive, not showy. It's a quiet kind of strength that doesn't need to be announced. It moves through presence, through stillness, through that unshakable knowing of who you are and what you bring to the table. When a woman carries calm confidence, she doesn't have to chase validation or compete for space. She already owns her energy, and that is exactly what makes her magnetic. Calm confidence is born from self-trust. It's the product of a woman who's learned that her value isn't up for negotiation. She doesn't let external opinions decide her worth. She's not moved by likes, comments, or trends because her sense of self is internal, not external. She's done the inner work to know that peace is more valuable than attention. She knows that confidence isn't about volume or dominance. It's about consistency. It's about how she carries herself when nobody's watching, how she responds when life tests her, how she chooses not to overreact when something doesn't go her way. That self-control, that emotional discipline radiates an energy that men feel on a deep, subconscious level. When a woman moves with calm confidence, she doesn't have to prove anything. She doesn't have to over-explain her boundaries or justify her needs or apologize for her standards. Her energy speaks before her words do. It says, I know who I am, I know what I want, and I'm not afraid to walk away if something doesn't align with that. That kind of certainty is intoxicating because it's rare. Most people operate from fear of rejection, fear of being alone, fear of missing out. But a woman who's calm within herself doesn't let fear dictate her energy. She knows that walking away doesn't mean losing, it means preserving her peace, and peace is her power. Calm confidence isn't arrogance. It's not about acting like you're better than anyone. It's about knowing that your energy doesn't need to be loud to be felt. A woman who embodies calm confidence doesn't rush to prove her point or demand to be understood. She knows her truth and she lets her actions confirm it. She doesn't chase after people who can't see her value because she understands that what's meant for her will never require begging. That detachment, not coldness, but clarity is what keeps her energy elevated. It's what creates that quiet obsession in a man's mind because he senses her control, her poise, her unbothered nature. When a woman is calm, she gives off safety. Men feel that. The world they live in is often chaotic, filled with pressure, expectations, competition. So when he meets a woman whose energy feels like still water, it stands out. She doesn't drain him, she restores him. She's not constantly reacting or demanding, she's grounded. That doesn't mean she doesn't have emotions or passion. It means she knows how to channel them with grace. She doesn't lose herself in every situation because she's centered in something deeper than emotional awareness. That's why calm confidence attracts not just admiration but devotion, because it's not built on performance. It's not about being perfect or emotionless. It's about being emotionally intelligent. It's the power to pause before reacting, to choose understanding over argument, to communicate instead of explode. It's that subtle control that doesn't feel controlling. It makes a man feel like he's in the presence of someone steady, someone who knows how to handle energy instead of scattering it. And here's the thing, calm confidence doesn't come from pretending to be peaceful. It's earned. It comes from going through situations that once would have broken your spirit and learning how to stand tall anyway. It's forged through heartbreak, through disappointment, through silence. It's a result of choosing self-respect every time life tries to test you. That's why it has depth. That's why it feels different. A woman who's been through storms and still carries peace, that's the kind of energy that can't be ignored. Calm confidence also shifts how a woman moves in relationships. She's not clingy because she's secure. She doesn't need constant reassurance because she trusts herself. She's open to love but not dependent on it for identity. That independence doesn't push men away. It draws the right ones in. It challenges them to rise, to meet her at her level of maturity. It makes her magnetic because her love feels like a choice, not a need. She's not loving from emptiness, she's loving from fullness. When a man encounters that kind of energy, he feels inspired, not drained. He respects her peace because he sees how much it's worth. He knows he can't shake her with games or inconsistency because she doesn't play from insecurity. She's too balanced for that. Her calm doesn't mean she doesn't care. It means she's mastered control over what deserves her energy. And that mastery is what separates her from the rest. There's something deeply attractive about a woman who doesn't flinch in chaos, who can smile in silence, who can speak with purpose, who can let go without bitterness. That's calm confidence, the art of being steady in a world that profits off insecurity. It's not indifference, it's emotional mastery. And it's contagious. When she's calm, people around her start to mirror that peace. Her energy becomes the standard, not the exception. Calm confidence also gives her presence weight. When she walks into a room, she doesn't have to demand attention. Energy naturally shifts toward her. People listen when she speaks, not because she's the loudest, but because she carries depth. She's not rushed. She's intentional. Every gesture, every glance, every word, it all carries meaning. That kind of energy is unforgettable because it lingers even after she leaves. In essence, calm confidence is the purest form of self-respect. It's a reflection of inner alignment. It's what happens when a woman stops performing and starts living from her truth, when she stops proving and starts being. It's a strength that whispers instead of shouts, but its echo lasts far longer. It's the quiet storm that doesn't destroy, it transforms everything it touches. Soft power is one of the most misunderstood forces in feminine energy. People often confuse softness with weakness, thinking that to be powerful you must be loud, dominant, or constantly in control. But real soft power doesn't come from control, it comes from influence. It's the ability to move energy without forcing it, to guide without demanding, to inspire without preaching. It's grace wrapped around strength, gentleness balanced with certainty. The kind of woman who holds soft power doesn't fight for attention. She earns respect effortlessly because her energy feels both safe and commanding. She doesn't compete with masculine energy, she complements it. Soft power isn't about being passive or silent, it's about knowing when to speak, when to move, and when to let silence speak louder than words. A woman who understands this doesn't waste energy trying to win every battle. She chooses her moments. She knows that peace is more persuasive than pressure. When she walks away instead of arguing, it's not surrender, it's strategy. When she forgives but doesn't forget, it's not softness, it's wisdom. Her calmness doesn't mean she's Navi, it means she's mastered control over her reactions. That's what gives her influence. Men are naturally drawn to soft power because it challenges their instincts without threatening their identity. A man feels disarmed around it, not because it weakens him, but because it allows him to relax into his natural role. Soft power doesn't confront masculinity, it invites it to stand taller. It says, I don't need to control you, I trust myself enough to let you lead sometimes. That kind of energy pulls a man in deeper because it creates balance. He doesn't feel the need to compete with her, he feels the desire to protect her, to contribute to her peace. And when a woman holds that kind of power, she doesn't even have to ask for love or loyalty. It comes naturally. Soft power flows through presence. It's how a woman looks at you when you talk, how she listens with her whole body, how she moves through life with intentions, the little details, her tone, her patience, her ability to stay calm in chaos. It's the way she can create harmony wherever she goes. People underestimate that energy because it doesn't announce itself, but it shifts everything around it. That's why it's rare. Most people try to dominate energy, but soft power redirects it. It can calm anger, dissolve tension, and awaken loyalty without saying a word. The woman who embodies soft power knows that femininity is not a weapon, it's an atmosphere. She doesn't use manipulation to get her way, she uses alignment. She doesn't force outcomes because she understands that what's meant for her will flow to her. That patience makes her magnetic. She knows that the more she tries to control everything, the more she loses her peace. So instead, she stays grounded, receptive, and intentional. That's what keeps her mysterious and attractive. She's not desperate to prove her worth. She's content within her own energy. Soft power also comes from emotional maturity. It's the strength to feel deeply but not drown in those feelings. It's the wisdom to understand that love doesn't require chaos to be real. A woman with soft power doesn't scream to be heard. She speaks truth with composure. She doesn't chase closure, she creates it within herself. That level of inner peace allows her to respond to life instead of reacting to it. She becomes the calm in the storm, the one who brings clarity when everyone else is losing control. And that's what men crave more than anything, peace, not perfection. There's a healing quality in soft power. It's nurturing without being self-sacrificing. It's giving without losing boundaries. A woman with soft power doesn't pour from emptiness, she gives from overflow. She knows when to nurture and when to step back. She doesn't fix people, she inspires them to fix themselves. That energy feels rare because it's both loving and self-respecting. It's compassionate but firm. It's what makes people want to rise to her level instead of taking advantage of her. Soft power also shows in how she handles pain. She doesn't retaliate with bitterness, she transforms it into wisdom. She doesn't chase revenge, she lets time and truth reveal everything. That restraint isn't weakness, it's power under control. It's easy to lash out. It takes strength to stay graceful when hurt. That kind of energy confuses those who expect her to break because she doesn't fight dirty, she simply evolves. And every time she chooses growth over chaos, her energy refines itself. It becomes lighter, stronger, and more magnetic. A man who experiences that kind of woman feels something deeper than attraction. He feels peace, he feels seen, not judged. He feels inspired to be better, not because she told him to, but because her energy makes him wanna. Soft power awakens a man's purpose. It challenges him gently, makes him want to protect the bond, not out of obligation, but out of reverence. And that's the kind of connection that lasts, not the one built on competition, but on energetic balance. Soft power is the art of knowing when to lean in and when to lean back. It's not submission, it's discernment. It's trusting that your energy is enough, that your silence can speak louder than argument, that your patience can win battles force never could. It's being comfortable enough in your own skin to let life unfold without constantly trying to control it. That's what gives your presence weight, that quiet confidence that everything meant for you is already aligning. This power is rare because it requires emotional discipline. It takes self-awareness to be soft in a world that rewards hardness. It takes trust to let go of control. It takes healing to respond with grace instead of defense. But once a woman finds that balance, the strength in her softness, she becomes unstoppable. She doesn't lose her voice. She learns how to use it with precision. She doesn't chase energy. She attracts it through alignment. Soft power is what makes feminine energy unforgettable. It's the smile that calms a storm, the tone that disarms anger, the presence that reminds people of peace. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It doesn't demand. It influences through love, through grace, through emotional intelligence. And in a world full of noise, that quiet, radiant, unshakable energy is what truly holds power. Emotional presence is one of the most magnetic elements of feminine energy, and yet it's the one most people overlook. It's not about how much you feel, but how deeply you connect with what you feel and how you share that with others. It's the ability to be here fully, completely, and calmly. A woman with emotional presence doesn't live in reaction. She lives in awareness. She feels everything, but she doesn't let emotions control her. Instead, she channels them into understanding, empathy, and connection. That kind of energy doesn't just attract a man, it captivates him because it gives him something the world rarely offers, the feeling of being seen, heard, and understood without judgment. When a woman is emotionally present, she creates safety. She listens without rushing to fix. She observes before she speaks. She holds space for herself and for others without trying to dominate the moment. Her presence tells a man, you can breathe here. That simple energy shift changes everything. It disarms his defenses. It reminds him that he doesn't always have to perform strength. A man may not say it out loud, but he craves that kind of connection more than anything, someone who doesn't just love him but feels him. Emotional presence is how a woman gives that without losing herself in the process. But being emotionally present isn't easy. It requires self-awareness. It demands that you've learned how to sit with your own emotions before you hold space for someone else's. It means you've stopped running from discomfort and started embracing it as part of your growth. Most people avoid their feelings, they numb them, distract from them, or bury them. But a woman who embodies emotional presence has faced herself. She's cried, healed, reflected, and learned to respond with understanding instead of fear. That's why her energy feels safe, because she's not bringing chaos into the room, she's bringing peace. Men are naturally drawn to that kind of presence because it feels grounding. The world teaches men to suppress emotion, to move logically, to hide vulnerability. So when he meets a woman who can meet him emotionally without judgment, it shakes something in him. It gives him permission to feel. It's not about mothering him or being his therapist. It's about meeting him where he is emotionally, not where you wish he'd be. It's the quiet nod, the soft look, the steady energy that says, you don't have to wear armor with me. That's what emotional presence communicates, safety without words. This presence isn't passive, it's powerful. It can de-escalate tension, deepen intimacy, and heal old wounds. It teaches through energy, not instruction. When a woman is emotionally attuned, she doesn't need to raise her voice to be heard. Her energy speaks volumes. She's not reactive, she's responsive. There's a difference. Reactivity is emotion without awareness. It's impulsive, defensive, sometimes destructive. Responsiveness is emotion guided by wisdom. It's intentional, compassionate, and calm. That's what separates emotional presence from emotional intensity. One drains energy, the other expands it. A woman with emotional presence knows how to hold both her truth and someone else's pain at the same time. She can express her boundaries without cruelty. She can show vulnerability without losing dignity. She doesn't manipulate through emotion. She communicates through it. Her honesty doesn't come from anger. It comes from clarity. She's learned that love doesn't need theatrics to be felt. It needs consistency, peace, and patience. Patience, that's what emotional maturity looks like. The ability to honor what you feel without letting it rule your behavior. The reason emotional presence obsesses a man is because it awakens a part of him that's often asleep. It connects him to depth. He may not fully understand it, but he feels the difference between a woman who's emotionally reactive and one who's emotionally aware. The reactive woman pulls him into storms. The present woman becomes the calm eye within them. When she speaks, her words carry weight because they come from stillness, not impulse. Her energy feels trustworthy, and trust is what builds lasting attraction. Emotional presence also gives relationships longevity. It's what keeps communication alive when passion cools or challenges arise, because when both people can stay emotionally connected, love doesn't turn into a battlefield, it becomes a partnership. A woman who practices this kind of awareness doesn't fight to win. She speaks to understand. She doesn't shame a man for being vulnerable. She honors it. And that honor builds loyalty. It creates a space where love can breathe instead of suffocate. To reach that level of presence, a woman must learn emotional regulation. That doesn't mean she suppresses feelings. It means she masters them. She allows herself to feel anger, sadness, jealousy, but she doesn't let them dictate her worth or direction. She can observe her emotions like waves and decide which ones deserve expression. That's emotional intelligence, knowing the difference between what's true and what's temporary. It's the awareness that feelings are signals, not commands. When a man experiences that, he sees a woman who's not only emotionally expressive but emotionally balanced. That balance feels rare and intoxicating. She's not unpredictable in the sense of chaos. She's dynamic in the sense of depth. He never knows what layer of her he'll discover next, but he knows each one is real. And that's what keeps him hooked. Not the performance of emotion, but the authenticity of it. Emotional presence also shows up in how a woman treats herself. She gives herself grace when she feels heavy. She doesn't punish herself for having emotions. She creates rituals that keep her centered. Journaling, silence, reflection, prayer, movement. That inner connection becomes her power source. So when she connects with others, she's not giving from emptiness, she's sharing from fullness. People feel that difference instantly. It's what makes her energy healing, not draining. A woman with emotional presence moves through life with empathy. She can sense the energy in a room. She knows when someone's hurting even if they don't say it. But instead of absorbing everyone's pain, she observes it. That balance between empathy and boundaries is her mastery. She feels deeply but doesn't lose herself in emotion. That's what makes her powerful, her ability to stay open without being consumed. When she loves with awareness. She listens beyond words. She notices tone, silence, posture, all the subtle signals of emotion that most overlook. She connects not just with what's said, but with what's felt. That's the highest form of feminine energy, not seduction, not performance, but presence. It's love that sees, peace that listens, and energy that heals just by being real. Mystery and self-containment are two of the rarest expressions of feminine energy, and yet they're the ones that quietly command the most attention. In a world where oversharing has become a norm, a woman who keeps part of herself sacred immediately stands out. Mystery isn't about hiding, it's about protecting your essence. It's about knowing that not everyone deserves access to your deepest layers. Self-containment is that quiet discipline of emotional and energetic control, the ability to hold your own peace regardless of what's happening around you. Together, they form an aura that doesn't chase attention but naturally draws it. Men become intrigued not because you're playing games, but because you move differently, you move with intention. A mysterious woman doesn't withhold to manipulate, she withholds to preserve meaning. She knows her life isn't a performance, and she doesn't owe anyone an explanation for how she moves. There's a silence to her power, a sense that she belongs to herself. That self-possession creates intrigue because it's so rare. Most people give everything away too quickly, their story, their pain, their dreams, all before someone has earned the right to see them. But a woman who understands her own value doesn't give herself away in pieces. She allows others to discover her slowly, layer by layer. That discovery process is what builds fascination. Mystery is not about pretending or creating confusion, it's about depth. It's about having a private world that no one else can fully access. A man senses that she has a rich inner life, goals, passions, thoughts, emotions that don't revolve around him, and that draws him in. It tells him she's not seeking validation, she's living with purpose. That balance of openness and privacy creates tension in the best way. She shares enough to connect, but not enough to become predictable. Her energy keeps people curious because it's rooted in self-awareness, not performance. Self-containment, on the other hand, is the foundation of that mystery. It's emotional sovereignty, the ability to feel without spilling, to love without losing yourself, to stay centered even when life tests you. A self-contained woman doesn't need to broadcast everything she feels because she's learned to hold space for herself. She's her own confidant before anyone else. That inner steadiness makes her energy magnetic. She's not moved by gossip, drama, or insecurity. She doesn't chase closure from others because she gives it to herself. That kind of emotional independence is what makes her unforgettable. Men are instinctively drawn to that energy because it feels grounded. It's not chaotic. It doesn't demand attention. It commands respect. When a woman is self-contained, a man feels both safe and challenged around her. Safe because her energy is calm and secure. Challenged because he can't easily define or control her. He realizes that to truly know her, he has to earn her trust, not just her time. And that process awakens something primal, the desire to pursue. A mysterious, self-contained woman doesn't talk about everything she's doing. She moves in silence. Her actions reveal her character more than her words. She doesn't post every move, share every plan, or seek validation for every step. She lets her results speak. She understands that attention can be a distraction, and she values alignment more than applause. Her mystery isn't about being distant, it's about staying aligned with herself even when the world wants access. That kind of focus creates an aura of respect. Self-containment also shows in how she handles emotion. When she's hurt, she doesn't explode or perform her pain for sympathy. She retreats, reflects, heals quietly. She knows that privacy protects power. She doesn't give people the satisfaction of seeing her shaken because she's mastered emotional control. That doesn't mean she's cold. It means she chooses who earns the right to witness her vulnerability. She shares from trust, not from impulse, and that boundary keeps her energy sacred. Mystery also lives in the small things. How she speaks, how she pauses before answering, how she doesn't fill every silence. People can feel when someone is comfortable with stillness, that calm, Slow energy draws attention because it feels intentional. She's not trying to prove her worth or dominate the conversation. She's simply being. That kind of restraint feels powerful because it's rare in a world full of noise. Silence becomes magnetic. A woman who embodies mystery and self-containment moves like someone who has nothing to prove. She doesn't over-explain her choices or beg to be understood. She allows people to misunderstand her if they must. Her peace is too valuable to trade for validation. That unbothered energy is what obsesses a man because it shows emotional maturity. He senses that she's not dependent on his approval. She can love him deeply and still walk away if something threatens her peace. That balance of passion and detachment creates irresistible tension. But mystery doesn't mean being unavailable or emotionally distant. It's about presence with boundaries. She can be warm, affectionate, and expressive while still maintaining parts of herself that no one touches. Her energy invites closeness, but it never gives full access too soon. She lets connection build naturally instead of rushing it. That patience gives depth to her relationships. It teaches others that her presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. Self-containment also means she doesn't let her emotions leak into every situation. She's not ruled by moods. She can experience chaos and still appear composed because her peace comes from within. She's practiced detachment not as avoidance but as awareness. She knows she can't control everything, but she can control her response. That's the root of her power. It's the kind of discipline that doesn't need to be spoken, it's felt. A man feels intoxicated by that energy because it challenges him to rise. She doesn't chase, she attracts. She doesn't explain, she demonstrates. She doesn't cling, she allows. He can't predict her next move, not because she's playing games, but because she's living from intuition, not insecurity. That unpredictability rooted in authenticity is what keeps him captivated. He can feel that her love would be powerful, but he also knows it's not easily earned. Mystery and self-containment are not walls, they're filters. They protect a woman's spirit from being drained by people who haven't earned her depth. They keep her power intact in a world that tries to consume it. The woman who embodies these traits doesn't resist connection. She refines it. She doesn't hide who she is. She chooses when and how to reveal it. That's why she's unforgettable. Her energy isn't chaotic or loud, it's magnetic, centered, and timeless. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that the most beautiful parts of her are the ones only she and the worthy will ever see. Purpose and alignment are the foundation of the highest form of feminine energy. When a woman lives from purpose, she becomes magnetic not because she's trying to attract, but because her life carries direction. Alignment means her thoughts, actions, and emotions move in harmony. She's not scattered or uncertain about who she is. She's anchored in her why. That steadiness makes her energy powerful, the kind that doesn't just draw a man, but inspires him. Men feel the difference between a woman who moves with intention and one who drifts without clarity. The first feels grounded, radiant, and focused. The second feels lost and seeking. Purpose is what separates the two. A woman in alignment doesn't wait for someone to define her worth. She defines it through what she creates, what she builds, and how she shows up for herself. Her life isn't on pause waiting for love or validation, it's in motion. She's chasing growth, fulfillment, peace. That kind of energy is contagious. When she walks into a room, she doesn't even have to speak about her goals. Her presence tells the story. You can feel that she's connected to something larger than herself, and that's what makes her stand out. Purpose gives her direction, and direction gives her power. Most people float through life reacting to whatever comes, but a woman in alignment chooses her steps. She doesn't let distractions, opinions, or temporary emotions pull her off course. That doesn't mean she's rigid, it means she's focused. She knows what deserves her energy and what doesn't. She doesn't chase validation because she's already validated by her vision. A man senses that and becomes drawn to it because it represents something most people lack: inner stability. Alignment is also about integrity. It's walking your talk even when no one's watching. It's honoring your intuition even when it goes against what's popular. A woman who's aligned with her purpose doesn't need to manipulate outcomes. She trusts divine timing. She understands that what's meant for her won't miss her if she stays true to herself. That kind of faith creates a peaceful confidence that men notice immediately. Her calm isn't forced, it's built from trust. She's learned that her path doesn't need to be rushed and that her value isn't proven through hustle alone, but through authenticity. When a woman is aligned, her energy feels clean, no desperation, no confusion, no scattered emotions. She moves with clarity. Her love, her words, her actions all carry intention. That kind of woman doesn't chase relationships for completion. She attracts them through wholeness. Her love becomes an addition to her purpose, not a replacement for it. That's why she doesn't lose herself in a man. She can love deeply and still stand on her own 2 feet. That balance of passion and independence is what makes her irresistible. Men are instinctively attracted to women with purpose because it gives their energy somewhere to flow. Masculine energy seeks direction. Feminine energy that's aligned gives it that direction through emotional intelligence and vision. A woman with purpose doesn't demand a man to complete her. She invites him to contribute to something bigger. Her energy says, "I'm building something, you can walk with me, but I don't stop walking." That quiet determination commands respect. It separates her from the ones who wait to be chosen. She chooses herself first. A woman in alignment also knows how to say no without guilt. She understands that boundaries are part of purpose. Every yes to something unaligned drains energy that could have gone towards something divine. She doesn't fear solitude because solitude fuels her creativity and focus. That's where she connects with her higher self in stillness, not in noise. When she speaks, her words carry weight because they come from a centered place. Her energy feels intentional, and that intention keeps people curious. Purpose-driven feminine energy also has a healing quality. It awakens everyone around her. People who cross paths with her feel inspired to do better, to find meaning in their own lives. She doesn't need to preach or teach. Her example speaks louder than words. She glows differently because she's not driven by survival. She's driven by alignment. Every choice she makes feels deliberate. That consistency builds trust, and that trust builds attraction. A man who experiences her energy doesn't feel like he's with just a woman. He feels like he's part of a vision. When a woman knows her purpose, she no longer moves from insecurity. She doesn't chase things that don't match her energy. She doesn't force relationships that disturb her peace. She's not afraid of endings because she knows that endings are part of alignment. She's learned that rejection is redirection, that everything leaving her life is making space for something greater. That mindset makes her unshakable. Men can feel that kind of strength, the quiet confidence of someone who's not afraid to start over because she knows she's never starting from zero, she's starting from experience. Alignment also transforms how she loves. She loves with clarity, not confusion. She can express affection without losing herself. Her emotions don't come from need but from choice. She doesn't love to fill a void, she loves to share abundance. That's why her love feels pure and liberating, not heavy or possessive. A man can breathe around her. He feels like he's growing in her presence, not shrinking. That's what keeps him obsessed. Not the thrill of the chase, but the peace of connection. But finding that level of alignment takes inner work. It takes solitude, reflection, failure, and growth. It takes walking away from people and situations that no longer fit your frequency. It's a lifelong process of returning to yourself after every detour. A woman who's found that balance has been through storms but learned to dance in the rain. She's seen what it feels like to lose direction, and that's why she protects her purpose now. She's not cold, she's disciplined. She's not distant, she's devoted to her mission, her healing, her peace. Purpose and alignment give feminine energy its gravity. Without them, beauty fades, attraction wavers, and connection loses depth. But when a woman's heart, mind, and spirit move in the same direction, everything she touches turns meaningful. She becomes the type of woman who doesn't just turn heads, she turns hearts, minds, and lives. Her energy lingers long after she leaves because it represents something timeless, a woman who knows who she is, where she's going, and why nothing can move her off her path. True feminine energy isn't about perfection, performance, or power games. It's about presence, peace, and purpose. Every part of this message, from authenticity to calm confidence, from soft power to emotional presence, from mystery to purpose, leads to one truth: the most captivating woman is the one who fully embodies herself. She's not chasing love, she's radiating it. She's not proving her worth, she's living, and her energy doesn't beg to be understood. It simply is. Grounded, graceful, and unshakably real. That's the secret few use, but every soul recognizes when they feel it. Because the woman who is aligned with her truth doesn't just attract a man, she inspires his evolution. She becomes unforgettable, not because of what she shows, but because of who she is when she moves in her highest feminine frequency. So as you step into your journey, remember this: your power has always been within you. You don't need to become louder, just more you. The more you honor your emotions, your peace, and your purpose, the more the world and the right people will be drawn toward your light. You are the calm and chaos, the warmth and coldness, the softness that holds strength. Carry that energy with pride. Good luck on your path to embodying your divine feminine essence. Trust your timing, trust your growth, and never shrink your magic for anyone. Thank you for allowing me to share this journey of words and wisdom with you. May your energy continue to speak louder than anything you ever say.